the Executioner Hopkins. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the two champions and their teams. First of all, representing Square Ring Promotions, Mr. John Wirt, manager McGee Wright, and the head trainer for Roy Jones Jr., the legendary coach, Alton Merkinson. So ladies and gentlemen, from Pensacola, Florida, he's a 1988 Olympian who received Boxer of the Tournament honors after being robbed of Olympic gold. 8-time world champion in 4 weight divisions and recognized as pound for pound for the better part of a decade, the champion. He made history on March 1st, 2003, when he dethroned then heavyweight champion John Ruiz to become the first former middleweight world champion to win the heavyweight title in more than 100 years. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Roy the Terminator Jones Jr. And Team Hopkins, represented by promoter Mr. Oscar De La Hoya, head trainer Mr. Nazim Richardson, and his attorney Mr. Arnold Joseph. So ladies and gentlemen, he comes to us from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a 5-time world champion in the middleweight and light heavyweight divisions, known as one of the greatest middleweights in boxing history. He reigned for over a decade as the undisputed middleweight champion with a record of 20 consecutive title defenses, including wins over Tito Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya. Currently rated in the top 5 of today's boxing pound-for-pound kings, ladies and gentlemen, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, he's Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. I'd like the two rivals to take their places at this time in their seats. And ladies and gentlemen, here to tell us about the rules of the debate, he's from Big Boy neighborhood on Power 106. For 2 decades, a legend here in Los Angeles, Big Boy!
Rivals, gentlemen, rules of the debate. There will be rules. 6 rounds. 6-round must answer debate. 6 rounds, you must answer debate. Now, no fighter can interrupt the other during his opponent's answer. At no time can you interrupt an answer while your opponent is answering, please. No fighter can be saved by the bell during this debate. Now, each fighter allowed a 2-minute opening statement followed by a question and answer period where each fighter will have 1 minute to answer the same question. At the end of each time session, Michael Buffer and myself, along with our timekeeper referee, will ring the bell signaling the end of each of those segments, each answer period. So with that, we shall begin.
Thank you, Big Boy. We'll take our seats right over here as moderators. Gentlemen, take your microphones. Rivals, we're about to begin. First, we will have opening statements. First opening statement by Mr. Roy Jones Jr.
Good afternoon. Glad for you all to be here. It's a blessing from God for all of us to be here. I'd like to thank y'all for taking the time out to come listen to this. Don't worry about the foolishness you hear today. Just tune in April 3rd and watch the real go down. Peace.
Mr. Bernard Hopkins.
Thank you for coming.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you for coming. Hope you stay longer.
First question. This fight is themed The Rivals. Let's start with Mr. Hopkins. Why is this a rivalry?
Well, first of all, the title of the fight is a rivalry, but to me, it's personal. And I know that most people in this room heard that many times before. But I think this legacy of mine and the legacy of Roy Jones Jr. has some credibility to the word personal. Well, let me tell you the numbers. This is 2010, 1993. If your math is off a little bit, I can tell you it's over 15, 16 years. So that's why it's personal to me, and that's why it's important to me before my career wind down. And I get this man back in the ring come April 3rd to send him on his way to the Hall of Fame with the last person on his mind that he can remember in his whole career, the executioner.
Mr. Jones Jr., why is this fight a rivalry?
The fight is a rivalry because, like the man just said, we are two legendary Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers. But the point of the matter is that we all always have a debate and a rival about whose career has been the most impressive. And because of that rival and debate, I started out beating him, and I'm going to end up beating him.
Alrighty, we're going to go back with you, Roy. Now, Roy Jones Jr., why is this fight so important? And what statement are you trying to make?
The fight is important because, I hate to say it, but that is my rival, and I must defeat my rival. Second thing is, it's just perfect opportunity, perfect timing. The fans want it. They couldn't get the other fight they wanted, so it's very important that you give them something that they want. And it's something they've been asking for about 12 years now.
Mr. Bernard Hopkins, same question. Why is the fight so important? And if you are, what statement are you trying to make?
Well, you listen to Roy Jones' statement, and he says something that I agree with. He hate to say it. He said he hate to say it. I know what that means. They hate to say it means that we waited 17 years to finally get here. He said it, I didn't. I hate to say it, but he is my rival. And he know I've always been his rival. But it took now, and it took a lot of other things in our careers to bring us here. So now that he's here, his worst nightmare then came to pass. Me.
So Bernard, yesterday in New York, you had a press conference, and also the first of these two debates. And it really got quite personal from what we've read in the press here in Los Angeles. For the both of you, why, we understand the 17 years that went by, but why has this become so personal? And in what way will it affect the way you fight on April 3rd in Las Vegas?
It'll affect the way that I'm not accustomed getting the reputation of fighting the way they would like to see others fight. That means when I go in there to fight, I go in there to break and systematically destroy a guy's career. There's evidence of other fighters that's never been the same when they stepped in there with Bernard Hopkins or the executioner. But now, this is a situation where now I don't have time left in my career to hopefully see this guy again in the ring. This is it. And this means a lot to me. This means that Roy Jones Jr. is going to have to fight me off him. And when you do that, and when you have that mindset, that means that you're going to have to be able to take risks too. And so I understand the cause and effect of what you do and what you not do. But this is going to be a fight, I'm telling you from my mouth, that Roy Jones Jr. either going to have to fight to not get knocked out or fight to knock me out. That was the motivation for 17 years.
Roy, once again, yesterday in New York, things got personal. We could see on the video that things were quite personal between you and your rival. What adjustments to your style, or what way do you plan on fighting that will either keep it that way, will make you more aggressive? What do you have planned for April 3rd?
What I have planned is simple. All the things he just said are very true. That's every fight I ever had. I had a fight to get you over me, or a fight to take you out, whichever one comes first. So whichever thing happens first is what I'll be doing. Whether it's knocking him out to get him off me, or going to fight and knock him out. It don't matter.
Now, Bernard Hopkins, I had you on the air this morning, pleasure. Roy Jones Jr., I had you on the air this morning, also a pleasure. One of the things that Roy Jones Jr. said in our interview is that Bernard Hopkins, you were more with timing. You were looking for a vulnerable Roy Jones Jr. that you feel that you can beat now that's not going to show up that night. He said you would not have a vulnerable Roy Jones Jr. What can the fans expect to see? Are both of you going to come out aggressive, fast, and are you going into the fight thinking that this is a vulnerable Roy Jones Jr.?
I'd be a fool to think that Roy Jones Jr. is going to step in that ring with Bernard Hopkins, myself, in April 3rd and train laying on the beach getting a suntan. I know that Roy Jones Jr. has something to prove to the world, and I know that Roy Jones Jr. is going to come and try to savage his career in the opinion that people have about him right now. I know how it feels to be an underdog. I know how it feels to be in a position where you got to prove people wrong. I'm looking for the best rejuvenated Roy Jones Jr., and that keeps me honest. I've never in my whole life or career underestimated any of my opponents. That's just not Bernard Hopkins' DNA. It's not in my DNA, and it's never been on my resume. I will fight Roy Jones and train and watch all of the Roy Jones tapes before the Tarver fight, before the Glenn Johnson fight, because that keeps me honest. I'm too smart to go for the okie-doke. I didn't take this fight because I think he's vulnerable. I never asked or took on a fight that wasn't a challenge to me. And that's been the book on Bernard Hopkins. It's not in my character. And that's why I took this fight, because I know he'll be at his best. He has a lot to prove. I have a lot to prove.
Roy Jones Jr., he said you'll be at your best, and I know that you feel you will be at your best. What can we as fans expect to see, and can you also comment on what was told earlier today that he's expecting a vulnerable Roy Jones Jr. to get into the ring on the 3rd of April?
Quite natural that you can't beat somebody. You want to wait till you see them at their weakest point before you try them again. Honestly speaking, I ain't got nothing to prove to nobody. I'm still me. They can think what they want to think. None of them put breath into this body. None of them are the reason I'm here today. As a matter of fact, for all of them to do so much thinking and talking about what I am, they didn't know the day they were going to come here, and they don't know the day they're going to leave. So they don't know about the most two important days of their own life. How could they tell me about mine? Secondly, the one thing I do know is the day the executioner will leave the boxing ring is going to be April 3rd.
All right, let me ask you this now. 17 years ago, I was the ring announcer when you both fought the first time. Washington, D.C., outdoors. Great fight, great night.
Your hair wasn't great.
My hair wasn't gray. I didn't have any bald spots in the back or any of that. And you were a lot younger yourself then, too, Big Up.
I agree.
Of course. I've known both of you for over 20 years. And not just Michael Buffer, but everybody knows in boxing that the two of you are, you never leave anything to neglect in the training camp. You're two of the best trainers in the business are in your corners right now. You've always trained hard. You walk around in shape between fights, unlike most other fighters in the business. So we know you're going to be in shape. You're going to be in the best shape possible. Age gets thrown out the window when it comes to Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr. as far as physical conditioning goes. But what can we expect in the ring? What is it going to take that night? Is it going to take speed? Is it going to take power? Is it going to take aggressiveness? Roy?
Don't know for sure what it's going to take to do it the way I want to do it, but you got to remember this. I'm multi-dimensional. I bring a whole lot to the ring every time. So whatever I got to pull out my bag that night to make it happen, that's what I pull out.
Bernard?
I can answer that question different than he did, and I will, because I know what he has to do, and I know what I have to do. You know, as you get older, we all lose something. And I'm not in denial of that. I think he is. But one thing that I understand about the Roy Jones back then and the Roy Jones now, he's going to have to fight. And maybe that had a lot to do with a lot of mishaps in his career. But nevertheless, I've always been, with no disrespect to my legacy, obviously I wouldn't do that, a basic, technical type of fighter that just understand the ABCs of boxing and never deviated from that. He was so talented at that particular time. He didn't have to use the things that most boxers, had to be taught early. Jab, right hand, left hook. That's the basics. He was the super Roy Jones, and he earned that. But now as you get older, and now as time passes by, how do you reinvent yourself since you don't have that extra step? How do you become creative to stay in this game and still compete at a high level? I've gotten better. My resume shows it. My deeds and what I've accomplished show it. Question is, have Roy Jones over the years got better? That's what I will expose come April 3rd in Vegas. I will expose that early, not late, early. I will expose it, and then I will knock him out and send him home.
All right, let's continue this just a second if we could. 30 seconds, Roy. I want you to respond to what Bernard just said. Basically, he was saying, we're all older now. Like he mentioned, I had darker hair 17 years ago, and actually the three of us all weighed 160 pounds each. He's saying, in those 17 years since, he's become the better fighter. Your response?
Basically what he's saying is that I was so much better than him athletically back then that his boxing skills couldn't really keep up with mine. But now that I've slowed down a little bit athletically, he may have a possible chance because his boxing skills are good. It's a possibility he can get lucky and either catch me or hang around with me for a little while and hope he won a close decision. Unfortunately, that's not gonna happen.
15 seconds.
Well, I never said anything. I never responded with a couple of seconds or anything, so I need at least a couple more on top of it.
30 seconds, Bernard.
Can we negotiate 35?
35.
35, gotcha. Well, yes, I've gotten better. And I know I had 17 years to analyze what I didn't do back then and what I'm going to do now. Whether Roy Jones is the same fighter or not the same fighter, we are not the same. So to me, it's even up. No advantage any other way. But what I can say is that Roy Jones Jr. has one up on Bernard Hopkins. That's a major incentive for me. I'm undefeated when it comes, other than one fighter, so I'm not undefeated when it comes to rematches. Roy Jones never liked giving rematches because he figured a guy knows his style and he figured out his style. His history's shown that. But I'm going to prove why Roy Jones Jr. had y'all wait this long. I'm going to prove to everybody why Roy Jones Jr. for 17 years foreplay his way all the way up to now, the real deal. And you know what? After the foreplay, you know what happens to him. He gets beep, beep, beep. That's what's going to happen. April 3rd. Tune in.
Roy Jones Jr., why has it taken this long to make this rematch?
It's taken this long, like I just told you, and before he get beat, 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 not beat, 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 it took this long for Big Head to get enough confidence to think that I've slowed down enough so he can bring that big head back in front of me, and he hoping now he can dodge these bullets. Last time the head was too big, he couldn't get out the way. This time it's still just as big, so how you gonna get out the way? But he hoping that he can, so he gonna always tell you it was me. Come on, dude, I got one dude I done fought 3 times, so what do I care about a rematch?
Now, Chicken Man thinks that my head is big, fine. So he should have an easy time knocking this big head off my shoulders.
Block.
Let's see. Let's see, because I want to show the world, and I don't, I'm glad, all the press is paying attention, because I don't know what the headlines are going to say when I knock him out, but I think that people should look at how I knocked him out. You understand? How I knocked him out is going to be devastating in Glenn Johnson, and look, trust me, that was a devastating, but it's going to be devastating because that's the way I want him to remember Bernard Hopkins for his natural, remaining of his natural life. Anytime you look at boxing, you're going to see that Bernard took him to this point where he wanted never to be any part of boxing, not even come to boxing shows. I want him to stop. I want him to not like boxing anymore after this. Boxing will not be even his conversation. He wouldn't even let his kids go to boxing matches no more. Everybody in the Roy Jones family will be banned from boxing when I get done. That's what type of ass whooping that I want to put on this man. Now, I know I'm running for president. I want everybody to think I do cuss a little bit. But let me tell you something. That's what type of beatdown I'm going to give this guy, man. Because it's a lot of, it's some animosity, but it's also personal. And then, let me tell you, if you think it's this hype and promotion, wait till you see this. I pulled off a lot of things in my career, but this is personal. He's going to have to be a man tonight. Come April 3rd, he's going to have to be a damn man. He's going to have to fight. And if he don't fight, I'm going to run him out of that ring.
Roy Jones.
Rivalry, Jones destroys Blockhead once again. Secondly, like I told y'all, the man's so jealous and so envious of me that he don't even want to see my kids watching them fight. It brings back nightmares. I mean, wow. I keep telling y'all, this
certain things are rated. Certain things are rated.
Hold on, Bernard. Hold on for a second.
Certain things kids shouldn't watch.
Hold on, Bernard.
Don't the rules say you have to shut up? Alright. So, like I said, he can't stand the sight of seeing a pigmentation of me in a boxing ring. That's how bad he don't want to see nothing look like me close to a ring. Because it reminds him of that 17-year nightmare he's been living with. And I can understand that. You know what I'm saying? That's his drive and motivation. And I totally can understand that. Out of respect, you gotta respect that. The good thing is that he got the galls finally to say, you know what? Now I think he weak. I want to get him back. I love that.
Bernard?
I think that in American history, I think that certain things kids shouldn't be involved, shouldn't see. I don't think a kid should watch porno tapes. I don't think kids should smoke cigarettes. I don't think kids should do things that can corrupt their mind. I think that when they see this execution live on TV, HBO, right, pay-per-view, there won't be a replay of this execution. See, I'm not going to be able to kill him and bring him back and kill him again. So, for everybody to understand, why I mention that is because this fight will not be shown after pay-per-view is seen. It won't be shown like, you wait and you try to say, okay, I'm not paying for it, I'm going to wait next week. Richard, is he around? Anybody around? Can you back me? Oscar, you can back me up on that? So, if you don't watch it, come April 3rd, you don't know who's going to buy it later on down the line, the license fee to show it 10 years, 5 years, 6 years from now. So you better watch it April 3rd because that's the official signing of the government to get rid of this guy. His execution day is coming, and he will have a last meal because he requested that. I don't know if he like deer meat or steak or whatever he wants, he can have it.
It'll probably be picked up by the Discovery Channel because they ain't never seen such thing as Big Head. They've seen Big Foot get killed. They ain't seen a Big Head get destroyed, so it'll probably be picked up by the Discovery Channel.
Before we go to our final question, I want to just take a break from the format that we've established this time. And as everyone knows, you have two of the best head trainers in the business in boxing. And I'd like to just pose the normal, what we call press conference type question to each of them. So, Bernard, if you would pass the microphone to Nazim. Is there anything you plan in the training camp that you could pass on to us that's going to make Bernard victorious on April 3rd?
First of all, I'd like to say assalamu alaikum. Passing on anything in the training camp as far as Bernard and Roy, I told Bernard in the beginning of the fight, I for one, feel as though that the Roy Jones is going to show up. It's not going to be the one that Calzaghe saw, Tarver. None of those guys are going to see that Roy Jones. He knows he can't bring that Roy Jones to Bernard Hopkins. So I'm expecting to see the best Roy Jones you've seen in a while. So I would say, yeah, tune in for the people who just wrote this fight off. But the other thing is, Bernard is one of the most well-prepared athletes I've ever seen. And this is no exception. I have to keep my eyes on him in camp to make sure that he's not too eager to want this fight. I have to look at this as just another challenge. We have to prepare him, and we have to win the fight. We're not competing with any of the other fighters before them pass, before we got to him this time. So I would just prepare Bernard the way we always have. And he's that constant professional, and we're going to do that the same thing we've done and preparing for Roy Jones Jr. and, securing his legacy as Bernard Hopkins.
Coach Bird?
I'd like to say both of these individuals are well-rounded athletes. They're professionals. They become very successful young businessmen, hard but fair negotiators. It's going to be a very interesting fight. Don't have any doubt in your mind about if these guys are going to be ready. Bernard's going to be ready. Roy's going to be ready. In reference to changing the training regimen, every time Roy fights, we're mentally and physically prepared. We train hard. It's no phantom punches in boxing. There's no phantom ways to train a athlete to get him to really stand out that much above his opponent. But the mental attitude, the physical preparation, and the knowledge, the ring gentlemanship, the ability to make a guy miss and make a guy pay, the ability to take a shot, the ability to deliver punishment, all of those things are very important in how the fight comes out. They're going to be ready, they're going to prepare hard, and on April the 3rd, it's going to be very interesting. Now, it's one thing that I'm concerned about. You know, this is a thinking game. It's not a physical game like it used to be years ago. This 60-40 thing, when you get out of your game plan and think about other things, you know, I probably could have made a lot of money while training Roy, you know, betting on his fights and stuff. But I've never betted on a fight. And I've worked with Roy over 20 years. And the reason I don't bet on a fight is because that puts added pressure on me. I might have him in a title fight. He's won 11 rounds, and I've got $100,000 put down on him to win. You know, what am I going to see in the corner in the 12th round? Go get him, Roy. Go get him, Roy. You know, because I've got things on my mind that shouldn't be there. So the person that keeps their head together, stay mentally and physically prepared, capitalize on the person's mistakes when you make them in the ring, is going to be very essential in this fight. Roy has ability when a guy makes mistakes to make him pay. Bernard is one of the slickest fighters out there. I've watched him for a long time, and I give him credit for that. He's both of them are legends. It's going to be very interesting. I'm just anxious for the 3rd to come.
Final round, final question, big boy.
Yes, Roy Jones Jr. How would a win over Bernard Hopkins compare to your other fights and everything else that you've accomplished in boxing?
Honestly, that's a hard question to answer because first time I spanked him for myself, this time I'm spanking him for y'all. So
That's it?
that's it.
Bernard Hopkins, same question. How would a win over Roy Jones Jr. compare to your other fights and everything else that you've accomplished in your career?
Well, it's another feather in my legacy. You know, it's a redemption and an opportunity to always clean up what you didn't do the first time. Haven't my life been that way? And so now, full circle, as I believe in that. We have full circle now. And that's one of the only chapters haven't been closed until we get there. Redemption. It's a powerful word, redemption. I'm cool after that. Good.
Roy, will he get the redemption?
Hell no. How you gonna whoop me fast as I am? Are you serious? Be for real. How you ain't never been able to whoop me? Look at this damn head. His head too big, I keep telling you. I mean, think about it. I just signed the Black Russian because I'm black and I'm finna rush home so I can get to that. That's why I signed the Black Russian today. So I can't wait. Everything I do is always geared toward fighting. I live, eat, and sleep fight. You understand, man? I ain't no fool. I know what the man coming with. I seen it before. I know him. I know all his tricks, all his dirty tricks. They call him dirty fighter. Hey, the man is so wonderful. The man wins by any means necessary. I ain't got nothing against that. You understand where I'm coming from? So, hey, he is what he is. I ain't got no complaints. Don't worry about doing. Do whatever you got to do. That's where I live.
Bernard, you good?
See, he's saying already that he's not saying I'm that, but he threw it out there to you. See, it's an excuse that I'm not going to let him get away with it here at this town meeting. To say that they say he's a dirty fighter. He's insinuating, but he's really snitching. If I'm a dirty fighter, keep it to yourself. And don't be a quiet snitch. Yeah, I said quiet snitch. I just invented it just now 2 seconds ago. But you know, it's the loud snitch and it's the quiet snitch. So he wants to insinuate, take it somewhere else, but he said it. And once you say it, it becomes you said it. But we don't have to worry about being dirty. I'm being dirty. Anybody being dirty. I'm in the fight business. As Mike Tyson said, when people said this and people said this, man, I'm in the hurt business. When I go in that ring, I know that when I see my daughter and I see my wife, it ain't no guarantee I'm gonna be the same person when I leave out. That's just the way it is, and that's the job we accept. Whether that comes to pass or whether it don't, I know what I'm facing. Is he's willing to risk what I risk? Is he willing to risk what I'm willing to risk? And we're gonna see come April 3rd. And the only way you're gonna find that out is when it comes to a point where you gotta sit down in the corner and come out the next round and lay it all on the line. And that's what I'm willing to do. Roy Jones Jr. will get knocked out come April 3rd.
Gentlemen.
I think that's going to do it. That's the final question between the rivals.
And Hillary Clinton be president the next day.
Whatever you say, Ronnie. April 3rd, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, okay, let's go to a Q&A from our members of the press and the audience. Thank you, Kelly.
Hey guys, Lance Pugmire with the Los Angeles Times. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Bernard, could you discuss why you lost that first fight with Roy and what it was like to subsequently watch him go proceed from there with like 10 straight years of great fighting, going unbeaten and watching that?
Well, my first date was kind of sloppy too. When you... Some people got that. It's like being in anything that most people can relate to. First day in high school, first day in college, first year in college. But the experience that I got from that fight in 1993 with Roy Jones Jr. shows on my resume. I went 22 title defenses once I won that title. Breaking records, setting records. And over a decade being undefeated. And cementing my legacy in the middleweight division as a top 3, some argue the top 4, some argue the top 2 middleweight of all times. That's what most have written. That fight there took me to another place that I benefited from that loss. But was I prepared? I thought I was. We all do, until you realize that you're not. But when you bounce back and you look at the mistakes or what you could have, would have done, we all hear that. It's called Monday morning quarterback. I always been good at undoing what I didn't do the first time, even in my personal life. I haven't been back. It's 20-something years, baby. That's just in my DNA. That's just my character. So I hope I answered that question more than once or more than 2, 3 different ways, but that's what made Bernard Hopkins' career from experience when I get to that level again. In Ecuador, Segundo Mercado, and then the rematch. I never look back.
Did you have a lot of jealousy, though, watching him from that point forward?
Jealousy is a wrong word. Okay, he said jealousy, and he's supposed to say jealousy. See, jealousy and avoiding the guy for 17 years. Look, I've moved on. I could have been sitting here saying, look, I'm fighting someone else. Because if Roy Jones Jr. didn't want to agree to fight me after 17 years, you know what? What I got to lay my hat on? Let me remind you. I don't know if it helps the promotion or hurts the promotional, but I basically ruined 2 guys that basically took his career to another level. Y'all know who those 2 names are? Glenn Johnson was undefeated, 20-something years old. I took him 11 rounds, punished him, and then I knocked him out in 11th round. CBS, I have a great memory. Most reporters don't write about it because it seems not to be nothing to write about. Antonio Tarver. I was content to go off in the sunset knowing that, hey, I never got Roy, so I can't say I knocked him out. But guess what? They say styles make fights. Maybe they do. But they was the two easiest fights that I fought. It was the two derailing fights and the nightmares of this man. So you put all those two together, and let's see what we come up with come April 3rd. So there's no jealousy in my heart, because to me, I think my legacy, part of this fight is about my legacy is going to be better than Roy Jones Jr. And right now, it is better than Roy Jones Jr. I feel, and it's your job to debate it as time goes on in life.
Is that not jealousy? Is that not jealousy?
It's not jealousy. What it's saying is that you didn't want to give Bernard Hopkins an opportunity when I earned it by beating Tito for the undisputed middleweight champion, when they had so many times where we supposed to have fought, didn't fight. This fight should have been made. This fight wasn't made. So you didn't want me to get in the spotlight, to get the opportunity to prove that I am better than I was in '93. So this guy tried to stop what we call blessings. You know, you ever had a boss that you know you're doing your job and you know you should be in that spot, but somehow that boss don't promote you. It's not because you're not qualified for that job. It's not because that you can't handle the job. It's because he got another agenda. If he put you in the light, then his job might be in danger. He wanted the light, he got the light. So I had to go another way to get the light on me. So it ain't jealousy. It's that Roy Jones Jr. didn't want Bernard Hopkins to share that light or to be competitive in that light where we have to come together in the ring. But he wants you to be fooled to think that I'm jealous. Like someone saying, I raise your taxes, but he's saying I can lower them because he wants you to vote for him. It's the same subterfuge and deceit that he's trying to do. See, I've been dealing with Roy with this thing like a soap opera. I understand how he's thinking. It was a good move on his part. Keep me in the dark, keep him in the light.
Once again, as you see, the hostility shows you the jealous emotions that come about when you're in your prime and you can't whoop a man that know how to have a proper first date, and he go on and have one and he do his thing. So that shows you the jealousy. But the second thing, let's go back a step farther. He did beat some guys, beat Glenn before I fought Glenn, and he beat Tarver after I fought Tarver. I had bet that he would beat Tito. I bet that he would beat Tarver because his driving motivation is to do anything he can that people can say he's better than me without having to face me directly. So I knew what he was going around to
fighting everybody else to get him to get you in the ring. That's what that agenda was about.
My whole thing always was 60 to the winner, 40 to the loser. We could have fought any time. I never deviated from that. And still don't now. Matter of fact, we got 60 to the knockout winner now and 40 to the knockout loser. I'd be a fool to take that if I didn't think I could win it. Wouldn't I? And I have no jealous bones. That man did a great job at the end of his career. I give him full credit. Once I got older and moved on, he did a terrific job. He was brought to the spotlight. People that like boring boxing watched him box a lot. You know what I mean? They offered him double to fight me, then they offered him to fight Tarver when he fought Tarver. But he chose, because he, like I said, if he can beat Tarver, then that might make people think his legacy is better than mine. So of course he'd go that way and be motivated, happy. Yes, I beat somebody to beat Roy, and I ain't got to beat Roy to do it. Yes, I ain't got to get in front of Roy to do it. Yes, I'm not stupid. I've been watching this too. I watch him just like he watched me. So I don't have to disillusion nobody about nothing. I always self-promoted myself so I can do anything I want to do when I get ready. So whoever said he want to fight is welcome to come fight Roy anytime, including him. Just now that he thinks Roy is done is why he waited till now before he chose to accept that challenge.
We all know, if you've been watching boxing and paying attention, didn't fall asleep at the wheel, that this been talked about a decade back and forth, so most people in here probably forgot about it. You know, Roy Jones has been great at cherry picking his fights. See, I never fought a cop or a teacher. I never fought a sanitation worker. See, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I fought everybody. I fought everybody. I didn't go beat up on a school teacher that had the third grade kids mad at me. You understand? Otis Grant, Frazier, Rick Frazier. I didn't beat up people that protects society. And my grandmother walking down the street with a pocketbook. But at the end of the day, I fought everybody so this guy won't have an excuse not to fight me. So he can call that jealousy, or you can call it being competitive enough where he has to fight me. And he always found the way to get out of the fight. If it's 10 million on the table for him to make a fight with me when he was HBO in-house fighter, he'll take 8 and put it in his pocket and say somehow that 2 you should be satisfied with. Now that's not be too crazy. 2 million is a lot of money coming out of penitentiary. But when you're a businessman and you're not emotionally aroused by what you see, but what you know, he never wanted to be fair with me. He was greedy. See, when I became the guy in charge, giving guys opportunity to fight me, Kelly Pavlik, I didn't have to give him 50-50 to challenge me. I think I earned enough to say 60-40, take it. Hey, 80-20. Maybe make a rap song. 60-40, I kick your ass, boy. But instead, if I'm the best, and I want to prove I'm best, sometimes, you know, never forget to a businessman, but at the same time, let me show the world that I still got it. That swagger. But Roy Jones never wanted me in that light. So I took the light. And when you take the light, you got to do 2 things. Run like a coward or fight like a man. I just hope he fight like a man so this fight can shock a lot of people that didn't think it was going to be what it was.
Does it still sound like jealousy to you? That was to me.
All right, I want to remind everybody we're going to go back to the rules of the debate, and
I forgot the rules.
We'll try to keep this going a little bit better. Next question from the press, please.
I'm Igor Frank from Burbank Times. Bernard, usually lately you said you have been inspired by media downing you and when you're an underdog. I don't know the odds in this fight, but you're probably a heavy favorite. How do you feel about that?
Hey, listen. I'm black. I was born an underdog, and I'm going to be an underdog till I die. So at the end of the day, that's how I feel personally. That's my motivation. But at the end of the day, even with the president, at the end of the day, I feel that anytime I'm going up against anything, if I'm not the underdog, I make myself that. That's always been my biggest motivation. There's always someone out there, which is their opinion, but they've been my biggest supporters. He can't. You know, I come home at 9 years to walk off parole, 22 years old, a failure on record. He can't. And I did. So this is part of my, when I said DNA earlier, this is part of my persona. That's what I do. See, Merkin, the trainer, the coach, who I got a lot of respect for, said, look, he don't want extra pressure on me. Remember, I'm the one that put the $250,000 on my back that I knocked Tito out, goldenpalace.com. You remember that? I'm the one, when Tarver said, I bet $250,000 that I knocked Bernard out in 4 rounds. I said, okay, we're going to double it, let's do it. I tried to almost knock him out in the 4th round. See, I live on the edge. That's me. What I got to lose?
Second question, is there a financial incentive for you to knock Roy Jones out?
60%.
Roy, you have anything to say?
60% both ways.
Somebody got the contract? See, my interpretation, again, we ain't going to talk about too much of the contract, but let's see if you agree with this. I doubt it. Don't hold your breath. Well, I'm not. 60% to the winner that knocks the guy out. 60% to me when I knock Roy Jones out. 60% if Roy Jones don't get off the stool, TKO, or the referee stops it. Or his corner stops it. You know, the towel. 50% if it goes 12 rounds. Well, are we clear? We got that? Do everybody? No, seriously, y'all got that?
It goes both ways, right? Exactly.
Right here.
Final question.
Both of you guys. Basically, is this win or go home for either one of you guys?
Roy?
Well, it's probably win and go home for me. If I get through beating the hell out of this old man, I'm sure HRS going to be at my door complaining that I'm taking advantage of old people. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm really looking. I know I'm going to have a lot of trouble in my neighborhood because they're going to be like, why you beat the hell out of the old man? I'm sorry, but got to do what I got to do. So I probably end up having to go home because it's going to be bad.
Yo, the way the East Coast getting hammered, I think it's going to last until April. I don't have a home to go home to. So I got to win. It's win, 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 win. There's no if this or if that. To me, it's always win. It's up to him to change my mind.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the final question. I'd like to thank Big Boy from Power 106 for being here today to help us out. I want to remind everybody that April 3rd at the Mandalay Bay, you can see the fight live. Of course, that's in Las Vegas. It's live on pay-per-view. Contact your pay-per-view operators. And Golden Boy Promotions, Square Ring Promotions will be presenting this fight, sponsored by Cerveza con Carácter Tecate. And the fight will be shown in NCM Fathom Theaters across the country. And we'll have an exciting undercard to announce for you soon. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, April 3rd, the rivals, Bernard Hopkins against Roy Jones Jr.
Oh, here, guys. Right here, man. Oh, here.
I want to get, where's Bucker and Big Boy? Can we get a picture with you guys in there, too?
Right here, Ross. Over here. Here, right. You're right, please.
Straight down the middle. Michael, take a picture for me, please.
Oscar, you're right. Thank you.
Let's put the rest in the timekeeper in the center for me, please. In the center, please. There you go. Michael, hold on. Can we get their hands close to them for me? There we go.
You know that was me.
Stay right there. Hold for me, you guys. Hold for me. Everybody good? Hold for me 1 sec. Everybody look down at this row. Right here.
Please.
And I'm going to try.
Bernard, over here. Right here, Rick. Right on, Bernard. Over here, Bernard. Right here. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah.